What's happening? A happy Friday to all of you. Thanks for joining me. As always, it is very much appreciated. We have raced past 3,500 subscribers. We're actually now over 3,600 subscribers, and it's all because of you. I thank you for your support. We continue to grow things here because of your likes. You click that thumbs up when you're watching on YouTube, means the world to us. I say it all the time. Takes a second of your time, doesn't cost you anything. Give us that thumbs up. Your comments. I see a bunch of comments every podcast. I love that. Whether you agree with what I've got to say, disagree with what I've got to say, your thoughts on this game coming up on Sunday against the Seahawks, throw your comment in. Likes, comments, subscribers, all of that is engagement. That's what YouTube wants, and that's how we continue to grow this community. Spotify, Apple Pods, I say it as well. Rate and review. Rate and review the shows as we go along. All right. Some general thoughts about Seahawks Patriots on Sunday before I get into breaking down offense, defense. For Seattle, it's a rookie head coach. Rookie head coach traveling to the East Coast. They had a home game last week. This is a completely different situation. Traveling to the East Coast, this game kicks off at 1 p.m. That's a 10 a.m. kick for the Seahawks on Sunday. Very difficult to get your body adjusted. The rookie head coach handling logistics, handling that travel. It's going to be fascinating to see if Seattle starts this game a little bit sleepy. And you wonder for Gerard Mayo, meanwhile, home game, a lot of pomp and circumstance, a lot of optimism after last week's win. How does Mayo follow it up? I mean, you win the first game. That's all good and grand. It was a lot of fun. We enjoyed it. But now you've got to follow that up. And there's even more pressure on Mayo now because they beat Cincinnati in Cincinnati. So it'll be interesting to see how both of these head coaches handle different situations. McDonald with the travel across the country, Mayo following up his first NFL win. The other thing I'd like to say before we get to offense, defense in this game, as I was doing my research on the Seahawks and I was looking at numbers and I was watching some of the clips and I was reading stories, one thing dawned on me about the middle of the week. This is the Spider-Man meme. Aside from wide receiver talent, aside from having more talent on the defensive line, which Seattle does, this is a Spider-Man meme type of game. What the hell does that mean? If you've seen the Spider-Man meme, if you've seen the Spider-Man GIF, where one Spider-Man is pointing to the other Spider-Man, that's what this game is. Seattle and New England are so similar in what they want to do, how they run defense. It is so similar, both with rookie head coaches. This really is the Spider-Man meme at Gillette Stadium. So let's get into it. And I will give you my pick at the end of this podcast. Who do I have winning, Patriots or Seahawks? We'll get to it. I want to start with the Patriots defense. And this all begins with Kenneth Walker, running back for the Seahawks. He is a tremendously talented cat, but he's also a cat that is injured. He's banged up, and he did not practice yesterday. He is seemingly doubtful for the game on Sunday. He has an abdomen issue. He came out of the game against Denver last week in the fourth quarter, never to return. And Walker is a difference maker. He is an impact player on this offense. With him as part of the run game, this Seahawks offense is much more difficult to defend than without Kenneth Walker. So the first thing is, will Walker be out there on Sunday? Is he going to travel? Is he going to be healthy? If he is active on Sunday, how much does he actually play? How many carries does he actually get? That could be a major difference in this football game, with or without Walker. Another guy who's banged up and did not practice yesterday is George Fant, offensive tackle on the right side. He has a knee issue. He left the game in the first quarter against Denver last weekend. Seattle now is dealing with their third right tackle on the depth chart. So Fant, Walker, will those guys play? Are they healthy enough to go? Meanwhile, for the Patriots, Kyle Duggar is limited. He has an ankle. He was out there today. The only guy that was missing at practice was Sidy Sow. So if you had to put some money on it, you would likely see Kyle Duggar on Sunday. So if Duggar's out there, we all know that the games the Patriots defense can play. We saw what DeMarcus Covington did with the safeties last week. You have Duggar, you have Peppers. They're kind of roaming and playing in zone while Jalen Hawkins is defending tight ends. So, of course, without Kyle Duggar, if he doesn't play, that's going to impact the Patriots defense. But I would anticipate Duggar playing because he was back out there today and he was only limited yesterday. But we'll see. Gerard Mayo said today that these guys are up in the air. The guys that were limited, that were thrown on the injury report late in the week. We'll get to two of them on the offensive side in a little while. But Kyle Duggar, his status up in the air. I would expect him to play. Doesn't mean it's a guarantee that he's going to play. And let's start with the secondary of the Patriots because this is a very compelling matchup. This game on Sunday, defensive backs for the Patriots versus the wide receiver core of Seattle. Seattle, of course, has DK Metcalf. They have JSN. They also have Tyler Lockett. Three very talented receivers, three different kinds of receivers. And this is going to be a big challenge. This is not like last week. You had Jamar Chase to deal with, but really nobody else that scared you from the Cincinnati side. Sunday, three legitimate wide receivers on this team that could beat you. DK's no joke, Lockett's no joke, and JSN is no joke. So who is going to defend who? How will DeMarcus Covington attack this offense from Seattle? What I think is going to happen is you will see Christian Gonzalez on DK Metcalf a decent amount. Jonathan Jones, I believe, will be on Tyler Lockett because that's the type of receiver that Jonathan Jones has defended in the past and done a good job against. Marcus Jones, he's interesting because you've got Marcus Jones maybe against JSN. And if that's going to be the case, then how much does he actually play at corner if Kyle Duggar is banged up? If Kyle Duggar can't play a ton of snaps, if Kyle Duggar is out on Sunday, you could see Marcus Jones move back to play some safety. I don't know what to expect if Duggar is out. But I think Jones will get the young JSN, Marcus Jones. I think Jonathan Jones will defend Lockett, and Gonzalez will end up defending DK Metcalf. Then you move to the front seven. And here's the good news. Because I think that the Patriots match up pretty well against those receivers with their D-backs. But here's the really good news for the Patriots on Sunday. Their front seven should absolutely abuse this Seattle offensive line. George Fant, I don't think he's going to play. They're going to be with their third right tackle to start this game. A guy by the name of Stone, I think it's Stone Forsyth. He is like a sixth-round pick. He's not good. That's their right tackle. And if you look at what happened last week, this offensive line for Seattle had major issues. 17 in sack percentage. They were 29th in pass block win rate against the Denver Broncos. The Seattle offensive line gave up 7 quarterback hits last week. They also had some issues running the football. They were 27th in run block win rate. And get this number. The Seahawks, that offensive line, gave up 9 tackles for loss. So the O-line for Seattle last week was not good. That's why I said the Patriots, the Seahawks, it's like that Spider-Man meme. The offensive line for the Seahawks, lots of questions. You've got some questions with the Patriots offensive line. I think the Patriots defensive line, front seven, Covington can do some things that will bother Seattle's O-line. And I believe the Patriots defensive line in their front seven has an opportunity to really dictate this football game, especially when you take Kenneth Walker out of the mix. If Walker is not playing, if he's not healthy, even if he's 70% and he's playing just a few snaps, this run game for Seattle is going to be difficult to get going against the front seven of the Patriots. With the linebackers coming downhill, Bentley and Tavai. With that defensive line, Godshaw right in the middle. Moving around Keon White to get the best of him. Anthony Jennings on the edge, containing things. Then you've got Duggar and Peppers. If they're healthy, if Duggar's out there, you've got your 2 hybrid safeties playing closer to the line of scrimmage. You've got Jalen Hawkins coming downhill as well. We saw last week how the Patriots, their secondary, how they got downhill, played fast, played aggressive, and were fantastic tackling. That's a big challenge for the Seahawks offense. Can they run the football? Can their offensive line hold the water? Because last week, their offensive line struggled. So I think that's good news for the Patriots. Will the Patriots allow Seattle to run? This is an interesting part of football now. You saw it last night. A lot of teams are defending quarterbacks with too high safeties. They're playing too high safeties. They're really inviting teams to run the football. They're saying we would rather have you run the football 40 times, 4 yards a pop, than beat us going deep over the top of our secondary. We want to limit the big plays. The Patriots did some of that last week. They had some of that strategy against Joe Burrow, right? Hey, if you want to dink and dunk, if you want to beat us 4 yards at a time with your passing game or your run game, have at it. Because what we're going to do is we're going to give up those 3 or 4 yards. Then we're going to rally to the football and tackle you. We're going to smash you, right? So will the Patriots do the same thing on Sunday? Will they invite the Seahawks to run the football because they don't want DK Metcalf beating them over the top? They don't want Jackson Smith and Jigba beating them over the top, or Tyler Lockett. So I'm interested to see if Covington plays some too high safety and invites Seattle to run the football, especially if Walker's not out there. If you got Zach Charbonnet as the running back for Seattle, I think it's even more likely that Covington and the Patriots say, come on and run the football. You want to run the football? Have at it, because we think we can handle your run game. And we are not going to allow you to beat us with these wide receivers. You're not getting chunk yardage every single play or every other play. In essence, it's death by paper cut. If you're going to die, you'd rather die on Sunday, if you're the Patriots defense, by paper cut, giving up little slices, giving up little 3 and 4 yard gains on the ground, giving up little dink passes from Geno Smith. That's how you want to deal with this offense. So it'll be interesting to see if Covington invites the run. I think he might, especially with Walker. And Charbonnet versus Walker is a different world. I mean, Seattle's run game, and you saw Denver. Denver played with a lot of light boxes against Seattle last week. And because they played with a lot of light boxes, they weren't having a lot of guys, 8 in the box, right? Because of that, Seattle ran the football well. And Kenneth Walker, again, is a really good running back. But Seattle, 5th in rushing rate. They had 33 rushing attempts. Now, Geno Smith ran it 4 times. So it wasn't as many runs as it might look like on paper. Seattle was 9th in rushing yards with a $146. They were 14th in yards per carry. Walker averaged over 5 yards a carry. Here's what Evan Lazar had to say, as he wrote at Patriots.com, on the Seahawks Week 1 offense. Along with shot plays in the passing game, one wrinkle in Washington's offense, which is the offense, not the Commanders' offense, but the University of Washington, which is, Grubbs, the offensive coordinator now in Seattle. He was the OC for Michael Penix in Washington. Lazar writes, one wrinkle in Washington's offense was the heavy usage of pre-snap shifts and motion at the snap. In Grubbs' debut as Seattle's play caller, the Seahawks shifted 10 times for a league-high 17.5%. They also used motion at the snap, the 9th highest rate. So what you'll see on Sunday from the Seahawks is a lot of pre-snap motion and shifting. So get ready for it. They want to throw you off. They want to confuse the Patriots defense with their motion and their shifting. So you'll see a lot of that on Sunday. Back to Lazar. Denver's defense was playing primarily out of the 2 high safety shell, which we just talked about, because the Broncos were worried about Seattle's pass catchers. As a result, Kenneth Walker last week had 14 carries into light boxes, and he averaged 6.6 yards per rush on those attempts into light boxes. So if the Patriots don't have 8 in the box, what Seattle will do is they'll use their motion, they'll use some shifts, they'll give the football, if Walker's healthy, they'll give the football to Walker, and they'll say, run into the light box and have some fun. Give us 5-6 yards a carry. So inevitably, the question is whether or not Covington will have 8 in the box, or if he will play a little bit on the safe side like Denver did last week, and again, invite those runs. A lot more thoughts coming up for you. Patriots defense versus Seattle's offense. First, don't forget to do a couple things for us. Doesn't cost you any money. Takes a second of your time. If you're watching this podcast, you enjoy the information that we give to you, you enjoy these previews and reviews of football games week in and week out, give us that thumbs up on YouTube. Again, give us that thumbs up on YouTube. Doesn't cost you $1. Doesn't really cost you much time at all. Give us that thumbs up. And Throw a comment in. Our guy, Cool Genuine Phil, throws in, says 20-16, the Patriots win. Marilyn says hello to you, all of you, better late than never. Throw a comment in, whether you're watching live or you're watching on demand. Those comments create engagement. So don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, and hey, don't forget to subscribe. We are now over 3,600 subscribers. We got past our goal of 3,500 this week. On to the next one. And when you subscribe, you can click that notify bell. So when we have podcasts, we go live, you will be notified about those pods. So like, comment, subscribe, get notified, and that Spotify, Apple Pods, rate and review. So will DeMarcus Covington trust his defensive backs more than Denver trusted their defensive backs? How aggressive will Covington be? I think the Patriots are in good shape with Christian Gonzalez, Jonathan Jones, and Marcus Jones. I think they match up well against the wide receivers of Seattle. But what does Covington believe? And how aggressive will he be? Will he go after Geno Smith on Sunday? Will he lay back and not give up those big plays? You know, there are a lot of similarities with this Patriots defense and what they do and what Seattle's defense does. And Andrew Callahan wrote about that at the Boston Herald this week. The fact that the Patriots have actually stolen some of Mike McDonald's defense in Seattle. Here's what Callahan wrote. Under Covington, the Pats have installed the pressure package borrowed from Baltimore's defense under Mike McDonald. Jonathan Jones told Callahan, quote, "It's like a deep ball for the defense, like saying, I need to make a play here," unquote. The 30-year-old corner was reluctant to share many details. It's just some of the things the Ravens do with pressure. And I'd say, how do I say this right? I'll save it for the end of the year. Callahan wrote, the new additions of outside linebackers coach Drew Wilkins and defensive line coach Jerry Montgomery seem to have inspired the schematic shifts, especially Wilkins, who worked in Baltimore for more than a decade, and he coached linebackers with McDonald. So there's some inside knowledge of what McDonald likes to run, what he ran at Baltimore, because you've got Drew Wilkins on the staff. Jacoby Brissett, Callahan writes, who faced the Ravens as a divisional opponent in 2022, said Wednesday he has seen similarities between Baltimore's system and the defense he practiced against all summer. So Geno Smith should feel more comfortable against this Patriots defense than maybe some other quarterbacks do, because there are similarities between what Geno Smith sees at practice against his defense run by McDonald and the defense he's going to see on Sunday run by Covington. He's had those practice reps. So how will Geno Smith react? The other guy on this coaching staff that could help the Patriots defense is Tyler Hughes, wide receivers coach. Don't forget, Hughes coached at Washington last year with Grubb. So Hughes will look at this and he'll be able to have a conversation, and he'll talk to the players. He'll talk to Covington, the defensive coaches, and he will let them know what Grubb ran at Washington, what he loved to run, his tendencies, his strengths, his weaknesses as a play caller. Some of that is already known. Don't get it twisted. Patriots defensive staff, they're not dumb. They've watched a lot of film. But it doesn't hurt to have Tyler Hughes, who was on the offensive staff last year with Grubb in Washington. It does not hurt to have that knowledge from Hughes as to what makes Grubb comfortable as a play caller. And can you take him out of some of those tendencies? What does he like to run on third down? What does he like to run in the red zone? These different types of play calls, those are some things that Tyler Hughes can help game plan for and give a little bit of knowledge to the defensive staff about those things. All right, so that's the Patriots defense against Seattle's offense. We'll see if Walker plays. Let's jump to the Patriots offense now against this Seattle defense. Sidney So has not practiced. He's not going to play. Let's get real. Leighton Robinson was limited yesterday, but Mike Reese reported today that Robinson was out there for his usual amount of snaps at practice. So it looks somewhat optimistic for Leighton Robinson to play on Sunday. Now, if Robinson doesn't play, it gets interesting because you could have somewhat of a shuffle on that offensive line. I would anticipate Vidarian Lowe playing left tackle. Then you look at left guard. City So out. I think you would see, again, Michael Jordan, who played well against Cincy. We all know who's playing center, David Andrews. What gets interesting is the right side of the line, because if Layden Robinson doesn't play, if he is too banged up, which, again, I don't think is going to be the case, but if Robinson is too banged up, what did the Patriots do on the right side of the line? So out, Robinson out. Your two best guards, right? Two of your best guards, Mike Owenu playing tackle, he would be your best guard, but you get the point. Is it Nick Leverett who plays at right guard? Do you actually shift Owenu back to right guard and play either Caden Wallace or Chuks Okorafor at right tackle? So that'll be an interesting challenge. That'll be an interesting challenge to see how the Patriots pivot if Robinson can't go. What I would think the answer would be is Leverett at right guard, Owenu at right tackle. That's what I think they would do. Could be totally wrong, but I think the more likely option here is that you have Leverett at right guard and you have Owenu at right tackle, because Owenu played well last week at right tackle. Your second option would be moving Owenu in to right guard, and I think you would play Caden Wallace at right tackle. Your third option would be Owenu at guard and Chuks at right tackle, and then you'd have Caden Wallace as your swing tackle. But hopefully, Robinson is good to go. He's out there. He plays, because if Robinson is out there, you've got Lowe at left tackle. You will then have Michael Jordan at left guard, Andrews at center. You'll have Robinson right guard, Owenu at right tackle, and you'll have that chemistry from last week that they've built on a little bit. $2 super chat from my guy, Cool Genuine Phil. Sup, Nick? Need Keon to dominate another 2 sacks. Keon is going to be critical pretty much every single week. Without Matthew Judon, without much individual pass rush potential, I think you look at Keon White as an every week type of necessity. He needs to make impact plays every week. Now, does it have to be 2 sacks, 3 sacks a week? Of course not. It's difficult to ask for a guy to have 2 sacks a week. He had 34 sacks on the year. It'd be like a record or something, right? But can he make impact plays? Can he get pressures? Can he get hurries? Can he get quarterback hits? Can he get some tackles for loss? Those types of plays. You need Keon White to be good this year for this defense to be as good as it can be. All right. Thank you for the super chat. Cool, Genuine Phil. You can send your super chat. It's very easy to do. And you get to the front of the line with your question or your comment. Offensively, let's look at this. Alex Van Pelt's history against Mike McDonald. Mike McDonald was a defensive coordinator for Baltimore in 2022 and 2023. Alex Van Pelt has installed the game plan. He has practiced offense against this Mike McDonald defense 4 times. He did it 4 times in Cleveland. So they went 2-2. Alex Van Pelt's offense, which again, he wasn't calling plays, but he was installing the offense. He was running meetings, et cetera, et cetera. Van Pelt's offense against Mike McDonald in Baltimore went 2-2. So let's look for some trends. Some trends of an AVP offense versus a Mike McDonald defense. Here's a bad trend. Van Pelt's offense was atrocious on 3rd down against Mike McDonald. Now, of course, that has to do with play calling as well. And Van Pelt was not in charge of the play calling. But they were terrible on 3rd down. 2 for 11, 5 for 15, and 4 for 16. And 3 out of the 4 games, Van Pelt's offensive game plan against McDonald's defense, in 3 of those 4 games, they were 26% conversion rate on 3rd down, which is terrible. The last time they played a McDonald defense, though, was the best on 3rd down. They were 8 for 16. It's mostly an outlier when you compare it with the other games. So the Patriots, they can't have that kind of trouble on 3rd down. If they have that kind of trouble on 3rd down, they're not scoring on Sunday. They need to stay ahead of the sticks. Van Pelt did a very good job against Cincinnati with down and distance. He was ahead of the schedule. They need to do that again on Sunday to give themselves the best chance to move the football and score points. Another thing that is a trend, Van Pelt, game plan versus Mike McDonald. 4 times Cleveland versus Baltimore in the AFC North, offensive line issues. The Cleveland Browns, their 4 meetings against Mike McDonald's defense the last 2 years, a hell of a time trying to protect the quarterback. They gave up about 4 sacks a game. They gave up 6.5 quarterback hits per game. They gave up 6 tackles for loss per game. So Cleveland versus a McDonald Baltimore defense gave up sacks, gave up quarterback hits, and gave up a bunch of tackles for loss. The Patriots last week gave up 7 quarterback hits and gave up 5 tackles for loss. So what I'm telling you is this defensive line, this defensive scheme for Seattle is going to cause some major issues for the Patriots offensive line. It's a question of whether or not it's going to be an all-out disaster. Seattle is more talented than Cincinnati on defense. Mike McDonald is considered, I think, a better defensive mind than Lou Anarumo. So this offensive line has to play better than it played last week to give the same kind of performance as last week. Points per game. Alex Van Pelt, offense against Mike McDonald defense. 17.25 points per game against Mike McDonald. From 3 points to 33 points, a wide range. Now, I will say, one of the 4 games that Alex Van Pelt had to get his offense ready for against Mike McDonald's defense in Baltimore, one of those games was a Dorian Thompson-Robinson game. That game did not go well. Dorian Thompson-Robinson started 1 game against the Ravens. Deshaun Watson started 2. And Jacoby Brissett started a game against Mike McDonald's defense in 2022. We'll get to that in a little bit. Only 2 passing touchdowns in 4 games against Mike McDonald's defense. Both of those touchdowns thrown by Deshaun Watson. Dorian Thompson-Robinson had 3 of the 4 interceptions that were thrown against Mike McDonald defenses. Now, how did Jacoby Brissett do? Jacoby Brissett, with Alex Van Pelt working with him during practice back in 2022, played against Mike McDonald's Baltimore defense. Brissett, back in 22, he was 22 for 27, so a fantastic completion percentage. He didn't throw any interceptions. He also did not throw a touchdown, but he was 22 of 27 for 258 yards. So Brissett has seen this defense before. He's been here before. And back in 2022, he played pretty well against this defense. His passer rating was 106.5. So that does give me a little bit of optimism that Brissett will not be bad on Sunday. If Brissett can give you close to those numbers, 22 of 27 for 258, no interceptions. If he can give you close to those numbers, that'll be good on Sunday. I'm not expecting him to do anything more than that. And don't forget, Brissett has also played against this Patriots defense at practice. So he has seen a lot of what Seattle likes to do. Brissett should be comfortable on Sunday going into the game. If the offensive line is a mess, he will quickly become uncomfortable. But if he shows some of that poise he showed last week, he will be ready for this defense and what they throw at him. Not guaranteeing you he's going to play well, but he will be ready. He will be prepared. He will understand what to expect from Mike McDonald as a play caller. Last week, Seattle's defense put on a freaking clinic against the Denver Broncos. Second lowest yardage per pass attempt. They had 2 interceptions against Bo Nix. They were 6th in hurry percentage. They were 5th in pressure percentage. I mean, they just came at Bo Nix in waves. This Seattle defense, this passing defense, was unbelievable last week against the Broncos. Now, of course, the context, you had Bo Nix. Rookie quarterback, does not throw the football much beyond the sticks, has issues with his accuracy beyond the sticks, facing a lot of pressure, uncomfortable, first game in the NFL that mattered. So all of that is worthwhile context. I'm just telling you, Seattle's pass defense last week was unreal. And they've got 3 guys in that secondary that are no joke. Woolen is no joke. Witherspoon is no joke. Love, no joke. Those three guys are a problem. So if you're the Patriots offense and you've got this Mike McDonald defense that kind of morphs throughout the game, and you have to deal with Leonard Williams up front, and you've got to deal with Boye Mafe up front, and you've got those two corners in Witherspoon and Woolen, and you've got Love at safety on the back end. I think Love had like 12 tackles and a pick last week. This is a very difficult defense. This defense is much better than Cincinnati's. Much better. With a better play caller. With a little bit more, funkiness up front. Changing things around. And, last week, that's not an aberration for a Mike McDonald defense. The Baltimore Ravens pass defense last year with McDonald was very good. Andrew Callahan with the numbers. The Ravens defense finished number 1 in points allowed, overall DVOA, and passing DVOA. In 3 of the last 4 years, the Ravens ranked top 5 in scoring defense. They're going to play defense on Sunday. Seattle's going to be very difficult. The Patriots are going to be very difficult for the Seattle offense. You're going to see a lot of different things defensively on Sunday. All right, I've got more for you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as you watch the podcast. I preview Seahawks versus Patriots coming up on Sunday, 1 p.m. kickoff. Hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And don't forget to throw a comment in. Say hello to me. Say hello to the fellow Nick Cattle's podcast viewers and listeners. Throw those comments in. We need engagement to build this community. So, of course, when we talk about getting after the quarterback, when we get after, this idea of Brissett having to try to be comfortable against this pass defense and what Seattle will do up front, pass protection, pass protection, pass protection. Layden Robinson against Leonard Williams, huge matchup. Boye Mafe versus Vidarian Lowe. On the left side, Mafe is 6'4", he's 260. I mean, the guy absolutely beat the bag out of Denver last weekend. Very athletic. Those are 2 big matchups for the Patriots offensive line. Robinson against Williams, Lowe against Mafe. And communication. We talked about this last week. Communication. And the Patriots allowed, I think it was 4 or 5 untouched free rushers to the quarterback last week against Cincinnati. Cincinnati likes to show you one thing and do another with their pass rush. We went over that last week, right? A lot of people thought Cincinnati blitzed a lot. They had a great pass rush. That wasn't true. And we told you that last week on this show. When we previewed Cincy, we talked about how Cincy, they like to play games up front. They like to keep you guessing as to who's going to go after the quarterback, who is actually being sent. They'll send 4 guys, but you never know which 4 guys they're sending. And Seattle is very similar. Evan Lazar wrote this, according to Next Gen Stats, the Patriots allowed, here it is, 4 unblocked pressures against the Bengals, with the 3rd highest unblocked pressure rate in the NFL's opening week. Cincinnati defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo caused assignment issues in the Pats' pass protection by using creeper schemes. And he goes into it. Lazar does. The defense forms a 4-man rush by adding a rusher. The defense isn't expecting to blitz and subtracting one they have accounted for on the line of scrimmage. So they have 4 guys on the line of scrimmage. You think one's going to blitz. That guy drops back. Somebody else comes after you. That's what Cincy does, and that's what Seattle does. Last season, Baltimore was top 6 in creeper pressure rate. And simulated pressure. We talked about simulated pressure last week with Cincy, right? Baltimore was top 6 last year in simulated pressure usage. So a lot of the stuff we talked about last week with Cincy, we talk about this week with Seattle. Very similar. Seattle, though, is more talented. Seattle was tied for second by creating 5 unblocked pressures last week. So you've got an offensive line last week that gave up way too much unblocked pressure going against the defense this Sunday that got a lot of unblocked pressure. Recipe for a disaster, I would say. I wonder, will last week's experience help the offensive line? Because they saw a lot of this with Cincinnati, right? And they can look at the film and they can understand where they did not communicate well enough and make sure they communicate better this weekend. Last week's tape, given these defenses, the defenses that the Patriots have faced now, week 1, week 2, and how similar those defenses attack offenses, the tape from last week's game, I would think, should help the Patriots tremendously in their preparation for this game, because they will look at those creeper schemes. They will look at the changes up front, and they will understand we've got to communicate better here and there. So I would imagine that last week's experience would help the offensive line. It's not to say the offensive line is going to be great, but at least they'll have some knowledge of what the hell is going on when they walk into the football game on Sunday. Last week, they were thrown into the deep end. Simulated pressures. That's Cincinnati, right? Creeper concepts. That's a Cincinnati thing with Anarumo. They will see both of those things. They will see both of those things a decent amount on Sunday. And hopefully, because they saw those things last week, they will be better at combating those types of things this weekend. The Patriots, can they establish the run? We know that they want to. We know they want to run the football. Interestingly enough, Seattle last week, they were 26th in run stop win rate last week. So their run defense wasn't spectacular. It wasn't spectacular. I think the Patriots will have at least some opportunity to run the football on Sunday. And when you go back to Alex Van Pelt in Cleveland, you go back to what Cleveland did against Mike McDonald's Baltimore defense, what they did running the football. I've got those stats for you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. So game 1, the first game, Alex Van Pelt's offensive install against Mike McDonald's Baltimore defense. Nick Chubb, 19 carries, 91 yards, almost 5 yards a carry, and a touchdown. Game 2, Nick Chubb, 21 carries, 99 yards. That's 4.7 yards per carry. Game 3, Pierre Strong, 5 carries, 49 yards. He was the leading rusher for the team. The team overall had 25 carries, 93 yards for 3.72 yards a carry. And then the last time Alex Van Pelt game planned for a Mike McDonald defense, Cleveland had Jerome Ford as the running back. Ford had 17 carries for 107 yards, 6.29 yards a carry. So, Alex Van Pelt's game plans, running the football against Baltimore and Mike McDonald, they had actually some pretty good success running the football at a Mike McDonald defense. It gives me some optimism that they'll be able to run the football at least a bit on Sunday. To go along with this idea, Seattle starting linebacker Uchenna Nwosu, he's going to be out. He's not playing on Sunday. He's out because of a knee injury. So one of their starting linebackers is out. Another starting linebacker, Tyrell Dotson, he's dinged up. He's got a shoulder. He was limited at yesterday's practice. So let's think about this for a minute. You have Alex Van Pelt who wants to run the football. Stevenson looked great last week. Van Pelt's offense and those game plans against Mike McDonald's Baltimore defense had some success running the football. Now you get ready for Sunday, and at least one, if not two, starting linebackers for the Seahawks are going to be out of this game. I think that opens the door for the Patriots to run the football a little bit on Sunday. I'm not telling you that Stevenson's going to go for a $120 or a $150, but I do think there will be some opportunities for Van Pelt in that run offense and Stevenson to get going a little bit at times. What are my expectations for the offense? I think they will run. That doesn't take rocket science. I think you'll see them run the football a decent amount. I do expect them to throw more screens this week. Even if it's 3, 4, 5 screens, I think you'll see a few more screens this weekend against the Seattle defense. I think you'll see a quick pass game, get rid of the football quickly for most of the time. I would expect Pop Douglas to get a lot. Maybe a lot of targets is a bit much, but I think Pop Douglas will get more targets than he did last week. He had 3 targets last week. That can't happen again. I think Pop Douglas will have 4 or 5 catches on Sunday. So I think you'll see the Patriots run the ball. 25 to 30 times. I think you'll see at least 3 screen passes to Gibson and or Stevenson. I think you'll see Pop Douglas with 6 or 7 targets, 4 or 5 catches. And here's another thing I expect. I expect the Patriots to utilize their tight ends a little bit more. I would not be surprised if Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper come up with 2 or 3 significant plays in this game. Those are my expectations for the Patriots offense. I don't think they're going to explode. You're not going to have a lot of explosive plays in this game on Sunday from either end. But I do think you'll see those things. 25 to 30 carries from your backs, 3 to 4 screen passes, Pop Douglas with, 6 or 7 targets, 4 or 5 catches, Henry and Hooper doing some things significantly for your offense. Because I do think this Seattle defense, you can attack in the middle of the field. You can attack down the seams. I don't think you're going to attack on the outside that much with Woolen and Witherspoon. So your offense, for the most part, I think, is going to be run the football and then throw the football in the middle of the football field. So you're looking at screens, dump off in the flats, right? You're looking at slants, you're looking at crossers, you're looking at down the seam with the tight ends. The Patriots also have to finish drives. I promise you I had this note before Gerard Mayo spoke today, and Gerard Mayo mentioned red zone offense. The Patriots were 1 for 4 last week. 1 for 4 last week. We talked to you last week about Cincinnati's red zone defense. They were 10th in football last year. They were good again last week. So the Pats, 1 for 4. Seattle, against Denver's offense, their red zone defense gave up 1 touchdown out of 4 trips. So the same damn thing. Patriots offense, 1 for 4 last week. Seattle's defense, if you want to flip it, was 3 for 4, defensively giving up only 1 touchdown in the red area. So if you get to the red zone, you have to finish that drive. You have to get at least a couple touchdowns if you get that type of opportunity again, as you did last week. Like, comment, subscribe. My prediction is coming up in just a minute, but don't forget to do those things as we build this community. Wanted to get to 3,500 subscribers by week 1. We got to over 3,600 by the middle of week 2. Happy about that, but it's all because of you. For every single one of you that watch this podcast, listen to this podcast, your dedication to it, liking the YouTube channel, commenting on these videos, subscribing, all of those things help. And to my Spotify and Apple Pods people, rate and review. All right. Game prediction time. The line, Seattle, -3.5. That's the line. Seattle Seahawks are 3.5. 3.5 point favorites. The over-under is 38.5. Last week it was 40.5. So this under is under last week's under. And last week's under was low, right? A 40.5 over-under, that's a pretty low number. This week, 38.5 is the over-under. This feels like a low-scoring game. Now, I say that with always the caveat being turnovers. Turnovers change field position. Turnovers change games. Turnovers change scores. They change scoring. I can't predict that, right? If one of these teams turns the football over in the opposition's red zone and then that team scores a touchdown, it can completely flip the game. But if this was even, right? If we're looking at no turnovers on either side, both teams took care of the football. This feels like a low-scoring game. Patriots defense is no joke. I think they match up pretty well against Seattle's wide receivers. I think they'll do a good enough job against the run, especially if Kenneth Walker is out. I think the Patriots defense can absolutely limit this Seattle offense. On the other side, I think Seattle's defense is going to be a handful for the Patriots. I think the offensive line is going to have to be much better than it was last week to not give up significant plays and significant pressure, especially at left tackle. Vidarian Lowe has to be good, really good this week. And with those corners and Love at safety, Seattle's defense is very difficult. So I think both defenses will have success on Sunday. I'm expecting a low-scoring game, similar vibes to last week against Cincinnati. The way these two teams stack up, similar vibes. Seattle a little bit more talented, if not definitely more talented than Cincy. Turnovers will mean the world on Sunday. Say it again. Turnovers will mean the world on Sunday. To me, the ultimate question is this: which offensive line craters? Seattle's offensive line was bad. Patriots' offensive line wasn't as good as people thought last week, especially in pass protection. Which offensive line will suck less on Sunday? That is my ultimate question. Which offensive line will not be a 5-alarm fire? That's a big question in this game because I think the Patriots can get home. I think Seattle can get home. Which offensive line doesn't completely fall apart? Who can run the football? If Walker's out, I like the Patriots' run game a bit better. So my pick. I'm leaning Patriots plus 3.5. And that's plus 3.5. I'm taking the Pats and the points. I would go Patriots plus 3.5. I would also play the under. Pats plus 3.5, the under. Now, again, this is for entertainment purposes. If somebody comments and sends a message to me that they lost money because I don't want to hear it. It's my own thought, entertainment purposes. I'm going Patriots plus 3.5, and I'm playing the under. I don't think that these teams will score a combined 38, 39, 40 points. I don't think it's going to happen. Now, Kenneth Walker, dinged up. I'm not sold he's going to play. Right tackle is a major issue for Seattle. One, if not both, of your starting linebackers, two of your starting linebackers could be out of this game. One is absolutely out of this game. Might be two. It's a 10 a.m. kick for Seattle. I'm going Patriots. I had the Patriots winning this game before the season. Seattle was one of my 5 wins. I'm sticking to that. I think it's a difficult game. It's a defensive-heavy game. I'm going Patriots. Home field advantage, the travel from Seattle. The Patriots are healthier. Both defenses are good, if not very good. Both offenses have some limitations. I'm going Patriots 17-13. That's my score. Patriots 17, Seahawks 13. That gives you the total of 30. That gives you the under. And the Patriots win on the money line. If you're betting, Patriots win straight up. So I would take the Patriots plus 3.5 and the under. I'm going 17-13 Patriots. Patriots begin the season at 2-0. What do you think? Throw a comment in. Let me know how you feel about it. Don't forget to give us that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Subscribers, we're well past 3,600 now. Let's get to the next goal. Next goal would be what? 3,750? Let's get to 3,750. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers, tell your fellow Patriots fans about the Nick Cattle Show. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 p.m. Have a great football weekend. We will be back on Monday at 3 p.m. live, hopefully talking about another Patriots win. I appreciate every single one of you. This has been the Nick Cattle Show.